Hi, I'm Liz Pollack, broker at Century 21 Miller. I'm here today with Diane Ulman from Integris Law. We're talking about home ownership and the difference between tenancy in common and joint tenants. What is it? What's the difference? And when should you use it? If you have any questions, please make sure to post them below, ask in the comments, or just contact us directly.
Hi, today I'm here with Diane Ulman from Integris Law, and we will be chatting about a few legal topics that you should know.
So thanks so much, Liz, for having me today. We were discussing off camera some legal topics that we could discuss. And one of the topics that we felt are really important is how buyers hold title. And this is in situations where there's more than one person buying a property.
Right, exactly. So thank you for being here. And you've identified two scenarios. One is tenancy in common and joint tenancy. Can you tell our audience about the difference between the two?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are two ways to hold title in Ontario. One is joint tenant and one is tenant in common. The main difference is one of them has a right of survivorship, the other one doesn't. So a very typical, easy example to start with would be a married couple. They generally hold title as joint tenants. So if you're married, you register both spouses' names, they're registered as joint tenants, and that means if one spouse happens to pass away, the home can easily be transferred to the surviving spouse. It's a very easy transfer. You would need to speak with a lawyer to do that transfer to the surviving spouse, but it's a very smooth process. The alternate way to do it would be to hold title as tenants in common. So that is a situation where perhaps friends are buying a property. Maybe it's a couple that aren't married yet. For instance, they're just dating, or even if they're fiancés. And also, as I said, friends or investors, those types of things. That's the scenario where you can actually put in what percentage each owner owns of the property.
Okay, so that's really easy and straightforward, because a lot of times with prices being high, buyers want to join together in different scenarios, such as friends, partners that are not necessarily married yet. So this definitely gives an opportunity to take care of that in a legal sense.
Yes.
And the percentage-wise, what do you mean by that? So it's not 50-50, it can be 30-70?
It can be whatever percentage so I'm just picking on two people buying a home. You can certainly have more people involved in it as buyers, but two people, say you and I wanted to invest in a property. We're not spouses, so if I were to pass away, I wouldn't want my share of the property to go to you, Liz. I want it to go to my family and through my estate. So you and I would purchase the home as tenants in common. I don't even want to say the default, but I mean the default for this example is if we're both coming in with the same amount of money down payment, we're both on the mortgage, we might register as 50-50 partners, tenants in common. But if, for instance, you're coming in with a lot more money, I'm not for whatever reason, then perhaps you're getting registered at 75% owner, 25%. It is 100%. Those percentages are up to you and I to decide the division.
Right. Yes. So thank you for that clarification. So can you address an issue for a scenario, not necessarily an issue, but a scenario that comes up quite often these days when parents get involved in purchases and contributing financially to their kids' properties? Right. How would that work? Yes. Would they still be tenants in common?
Right. So let's pick a simple scenario. There's an adult child. They're trying to purchase a home. With the prices in the market, all of the reasons of financing, perhaps they don't qualify for a mortgage in just their own name. So the bank requires them to add one of their parents, mom or dad, to title as well, just for financing purposes. Mom and dad were never meant to live in the home. It's always going to be the adult child's like main residence, for instance. So how do we register that? So there are a few ways to do that. You could do joint tenants, where if the child or the parent passes away, it could go to the surviving party. But I would suggest that in that scenario, you would want to register the adult child as, say, a 99% owner, and the parent or the parents as a 1% owner, tenants in common. There are a number of reasons for that. Primarily, it's the adult child, if it's their primary residence, they absolutely want to take full advantage of the primary residence tax exemption for their primary residence for capital gains. If mom and dad are on there as like 50-50 owners, mom and dad who don't live there as their primary residence, they're actually going to be paying capital gains on any appreciation on their 50% of the house. So this is a way where mom and dad are only a 1% owner. They're only paying capital gains on 1% of the value of this home, because in this very typical scenario, it's the adult child's home. We just need mom and dad maybe for the first 5 years of the mortgage.
Yes, death and taxes. You can always
death and
count those two. So thank you for bringing up the point about capital gains. When you sell, you gotta pay the taxman. So there is that scenario where you have to figure out how to go about it and how to address that issue at the resale point. And that's actually a very good segue to the point that where when you buy a property, you always have to think about the exit strategy. And it doesn't matter whether you're partnering up with a spouse, you're buying it by yourself 100%, or you're buying with 5 other investors. Having an exit strategy, I call, or a plan for what happens when you no longer want this property, and how to deal with it. So taxes come definitely into play, and what value will the property have at resale in 5 or 10 years, or what do you need to do in order to sell it. Sometimes people buy a really inexpensive property, and it's a, let's say, corner lot or some busy street in front of a bus station, and they think that they will, so they're buying it at the bottom, sort of price list, and then they think that in 10 years they can sell it at the very high. Well, it's still gonna be in front of a bus stop, and so forth. So you gotta keep in mind that the same relationships will apply 5 to 10 years. So that's what I mean by it.
Absolutely. And just thinking about an exit strategy, I think that's perfect, and I think that's a very wise thing to do, even if it's your primary residence and you're planning on living there for 10 years. What I would say about all of that is there's kind of a trifecta team that you should be consulting with. So talking about exit strategy. So of course it's your realtor who's helping you find the home. It's helping you get an idea of what the neighborhood is anticipated, like what kind of development is anticipated in that neighborhood over the next 5 or 10 years. The next one is, of course, your real estate lawyer to discuss if you're buying a home with more than one person, how you should hold title and for what reasons you want to hold title in certain ways. And the third person is absolutely your accountant, because they are the ones that will be able to give you the best advice on capital gains, and they can project it to 5 or 10 years from now. So you get an idea on what the tax implications could be on how you hold title now when you buy the property. So there are definitely a few steps there involved.
Absolutely, yes. I do have one more question. So when you say that partners can have different percentages of ownership in the property, is there any relation to how they're holding mortgage? So let's say 2 or 3 people, or let's say 2 or 4 people, just to make it easy for numbers, own title to a property. Each one has a quarter or 50%. Sure. And their mortgage is, let's say one person has a whole mortgage, or 2 people have mortgage. Or how is that in relation? Like, even when you say the scenario where the adult child has 99% of ownership, and the parent has 1%, but the mortgage structure that can be different. What is the relationship between those 2?
Yeah, so there actually isn't too much of a relationship. You can register the 99% and the 1%, as we discussed, on title. But when it comes to your mortgage, the fact that both both the adult child and the parent is on the mortgage, they're actually both legally responsible for that mortgage. There isn't a division of 99% and 1%, and that's where it's very, anybody should be very cautious about going on a mortgage with somebody else, whether it's your child, whether it's your friend, or whether it's you and I investing in a property, because it's actually a situation where if Liz, you and I got a mortgage together and I took off and just left the country and I was never to be seen again, the bank's coming after you for 100% of it. It's not a matter of they're coming after you for just 50% of the mortgage we received. So we're both on the mortgage. We're responsible for basically the whole mortgage, and hopefully along the way, you and I are 50-50, paying down the mortgage as our plan was, for instance. Yeah.
Right. So it's great when it works out. Yeah. But there's a part of my brain that is frantically running for the hills right now, because if the mortgage is paid 50-50, but our arrangement is 99 versus 1, and I'm the one holding the 1%, then I paid all of the mortgage. Yes. And then only get 1% back.
I guess perhaps I'm flipping between the scenario of a parent and a child, where that's a very close family relationship, and the reason the parent is going on as 1% is to minimize their capital gains exposure. If you and I are buying a home, it's for an investment property at this point. It's an investment property. We may be putting together, and this is kind of perhaps like another video, but getting into like a joint venture agreement, because this is an investment for us. So you and I would not be going on title as 99 and 1. We'd be going in as like 50-50 or maybe 60-40, depending on how much of a down payment we're each contributing. But your and my relationship would very much reflect how much money we're putting into the deal.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. If you have any questions, please talk to your real estate lawyer. Diane is here for all your questions. I will make sure to drop a line in the comment section how you can get connected to Integris Law. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're actually growing and expanding your company with?
Yes. So I've been a lawyer for over a decade. I am one of the co-founders of Integris Law, along with my business partner, Brandon Lee. We're old high school buddies. We started Integris approximately 3 years ago. Our focus is residential real estate. So if you have any real estate questions, feel free to reach out. Happy to have, a 15-minute consultation with no charge, just to help guide you in which direction to go on any of your purchases or sales or refinances. I also work with investors who are doing private lending, so private mortgages, so anything to do with a residential property, you can reach out with any questions. Our head office is in Oakville, Ontario, but we can meet clients on Zoom, for instance, so as long as the real estate is in Ontario, we can absolutely have a conversation, and hopefully we can help you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for talking to us today and giving us such very valuable information. I'm sure there will be callers contacting you, and like I said, I will put information in the comments so that you have direct contact today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. Make sure to like the episode and subscribe to the channel so that you can hear from us again. Take care until next time.